Science can't explain everything, and we need to stop living as if it does. Science can explain how the world works, but it can't tell you the meaning of life. And you see, the thing is, we need an answer to that question because if you don't have a why, suffering will eventually break you. And that's the thing about life, right? One of the few things we're actually guaranteed in life is that we're going to suffer. And see, a big problem that I experienced in my life for a very long time was treating science like it was basically the answer for everything. And because science couldn't answer what the meaning of life is, it kind of led me down this path of I guess nihilism, escapism, hopelessness. And maybe some of you relate, maybe some of you understand that feeling, maybe some of you are still making that mistake of treating science like it's the only way to explain the world when it's not. Now, I do want to be very clear. I'm not against science in any way, shape, or form. I think science is good. I think we need science. But see, the thing is, science is just a tool. And I treated that tool like it could answer every question in my life. And I think that's a trap a lot of us fall into without even noticing. Because when you use science, it works, right? Science actually works. Um, in school, right? Science is treated as this pinnacle of authority. It's science is everything in the schooling system, at least from my experience. Culture treats it like I said, the pinnacle of truth, right? Everyone and everything just worships science. Science can explain everything, and everything that science hasn't explained yet, it will one day. When that's simply not true. And I'll tell you why. Now, in order to do that, first we need to actually define what science actually is according to the dictionary. According to Cambridge, science is defined as the careful study of the structure and behavior of the physical world, especially by watching, measuring, and doing experiments. Which, in plain fucking English, that just means science is a tool for learning how the the physical world works. Basically, you take a claim about the physical world, you test it, you measure what happens, and you follow the evidence. That's it. That's all science is. And science is an extremely powerful tool. You know, it lets us measure what's happening, it lets us test ideas, predict outcomes, it lets us build engines, it lets us cure disease. Science is incredible. There's no doubt about that. But the catch is, science is just a tool. A tool that can't answer every kind of question, right? You can't take measuring tape up to the question of what's the meaning of life, right? It's just the measuring tape is not designed to answer that question. The same way science is not designed to answer those questions. There are scientific questions in the world, and then there are meaning and moral questions. Science can perhaps explain why we feel right and wrong, but science can't actually tell you what right and wrong actually are. It can't tell you what good and evil actually are. And my mistake was, for the longest time, I treated science like it could answer these questions anyways. I treated science like it could tell me what actually matters in life, what my purpose is, what the meaning of life is. But you see, when you ask science those questions, all you get is silence at the very end. And you see, if the thing you trust most in life can't answer your biggest questions, you're kind of just left to make it all up as you go. And when you can't find real answers to these questions, you basically just drift. Or at least I did. You fall into emptiness, confusion, sadness, escapism, and that's the problem. Like I said before, one of the few things in life that you're guaranteed is suffering. Without a real why to sustain you in life, there's nothing that you can stand on when things actually get hard. So when things get hard, you just try to escape. Through drugs, through food, porn, video games, relationships, rage. You try to escape through anything to avoid the silence. And when you don't have a real should behind your actions in life, right and wrong start to get very blurry. They become based on what's convenient, what you prefer, or what you can get away with in the moment, rather than what's actually right. And when you live like that long enough, you don't just waste time, which is horrible in and of itself. You waste your life. And you end up treating people and things and circumstances as a means to an end, like pawns on a chessboard. Or at least I did, right? This has just been all of this has just been my experience following the logic. And see, you need an answer to that question. What is the meaning of life? You need to have a real answer to that question. And see, if science can't answer it, what can? How do we find the real answer to that question, assuming there even is a real answer, right? Well, what I've found is in order to actually answer that question, you need to first answer another question. That question being, is meaning something you make up? Or is meaning something you find? In other words, it's already there. You didn't make it up. It already exists, and you find it, and you align yourself with it. Now, the first option, if meaning is just something you make up, whatever you want it to be, that can work for a while. I know it can work for a while. The problem is, it works until life gets so painful. You experience something so tragic, so heartbreaking, so soul crushing, that the question isn't really what's my meaning to life anymore. The question becomes, why even keep going? What is this all for? Why are we even here? Why does any of this actually matter? It just becomes a game of how strong is your why when it costs you, when it actually costs you something. And from my experience, there's no why we can make up that's genuinely strong enough to sustain us when things get hard in life. Because at least in my experience, there's always a voice in the back of your head telling you, you made this up. How do you know? This is just, the meaning of your life is just based on a preference. You made it up out of the blue from your imagination. So it's not really real. It's like trying to rest on a rock that's not actually there. And so that led me to explore the other end of this spectrum, which is meaning Is the meaning of life something you find, you discover? Is it already there? Is it something beyond ourselves? And if it is, what is it? Where is it? And how do I find it? Because if it is something beyond myself, if it is something greater than myself, then when life gets hard, it's only reasonable to think that it can actually sustain me. It can actually sustain you. Because it doesn't depend on your mood. It doesn't depend on how you feel. It doesn't depend on your preferences or what you think. It's just there, and it's bigger than you. Therefore, it's bigger than anything you suffer through in life. So which is true, right? What is your why, or what is our why actually built on? Is the meaning of life something we can only make up? In which case, how do we create meaning strong enough to sustain us when things get hard? Or is the meaning of life something already there, something we find, something we discover, something we uncover, something that can be revealed to us? And see, the thing is, you can't avoid this question. If you want to live a genuinely meaningful life, you need to know the answer to this question. You can't just avoid it. Or I suppose you could spend your entire life escaping it if you want to. That's what a lot of people do, I think. But if you want, like I said, to live a genuinely meaningful life, you need to have an answer to this question. You can't ignore it. Because suffering will force an answer whether you like it or not. And if you treat science like it could answer that question, you're never going to get an answer. So what is the answer?